for our new project, we'd like to use React and JSX. So let's get React set up in an existing Rails app that I have right here. React comes with an official gem just for Rails called React Rails that makes getting React inside of our Rails app pretty painless. So the first thing we're going to want to do is add it to our gem file. So I'm going to open my gem file here, and just right here at the bottom, I'm going to say gem react-rails. Now, once I've added that, I need to run bundle install. And after bundle install is complete, I need to make sure everything that comes with React Rails is installed properly. So React Rails gives us a nice generator that we can run. So saying Rails G React :install. We hit enter. Now, this will go through and do a few things for us. What it does is it creates a components directory inside of our assets/JavaScripts. And this is where we are going to place all of the React components that we build throughout our application. It also gives us a components.js file. All that does is require the components directory. And if we go to our application.js, we can see that it actually added itself to the requires inside of our application.js. So React is actually now being required. We should create a basic React component to make sure everything's working. So if I go to my browser, here is my website, and I've got a very simple page that just displays the text "Hello World." Instead of having the text display right here, I'm going to use a React component to do this instead. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new file. It's going to be an app assets JavaScript components, and this one's going to be called hello world.js.jsx. So now I'm going to open my Rails app, go to that new component that I created, and we're going to set it up. So the first thing we need to do is give it a name. We want the name to match the file name as close as possible. So this is going to be hello world. Make that a capital H. I'm going to say this is going to be a new React component. So the way you would do this, you say React, and then you say create class, and we give it an empty object here. And this is basically the shell of our React component. Now, every React component needs a single function defined to be viable, and this function is going to be called render. And this is what React is going to call every time it needs to display this component on the page. So to get this to work, we are going to say return, and we are going to return an h1 tag that says hello world. Like that. Now, what's important to note here is that these parentheses are required if you are using JSX. So this is JSX right here. HTML is not valid inside of JavaScript files, but with JSX, we can get around that. I don't have any syntax errors, so it looks good. But now we need to actually use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my index file, and I'm going to use this component. The React Rails gem gives us a nice helper method for placing our React components inside of Rails. We can just say React component, and then we give it the name of the component we created. So this one's going to be hello world, and then this should be rendered on the page. So what I can do now is I can go back to my browser. Once the page is finished refreshing, we can see we have hello world 2 times here. So now if I inspect element, I make this font a little bit bigger, we can see that our h1 is an h1 tag, but it is wrapped inside of a React component. So we know that our React is set up and working correctly. One tool that I would highly recommend getting if you are doing any kind of reactive element in Rails or outside of Rails is the React toolchain for Chrome. So right here it lets you to inspect your components and view detailed information about how that component actually is working. And you can get those by just searching for React Developer Tools Chrome extension.